All right? Picture this. You're standing in northern France. October 1415. The air bites with a chill that seeps into your bones. And the ground beneath your feet is a squelching, muddy mess. You're English, and you're exhausted, starving, and sick. You've just marched across enemy territory, and now, ahead of you, lies the French army. Not just an army, but a force at least 5 times your size, maybe even more. They've got fresh supplies, heavy cavalry, and the home field advantage. You've got courage, desperation, and a king who's about to give a speech. Yet, the very next morning, against every mathematical probability, against all logical odds, your ragged, weary English forces absolutely smash the French at Agincourt, rewriting European history in blood and mud. So, was it just Shakespeare, centuries later, spinning a dramatic yarn? Or did King Henry V actually possess some kind of dark magic, a way to flip terror into triumph with nothing but words? Today, we're going to strip away the armor, peel back the layers of history, and get to the heart of perhaps the most famous pep talk in all of literature. We're on a quest to uncover the 3 psychological levers that still compel CEOs, championship coaches, and even nervous wedding best men to plagiarize the St. Crispin's Day speech more than 6 centuries after it was supposedly delivered. Stick with us till the very end, and you'll also discover why we few. We happy few isn't just poetic, it's a far more potent mission statement than any corporate jargon you'll ever hear. Imagine your team just got hit with the news. The rival company, your biggest competitor, just hired 30 extra all-star staff for that massive make-or-break pitch next week. And you've got Dave from accounting, who's great with numbers, but not so much with clients, and a marketing intern who's still learning what a SWOT analysis is. Panic starts to spread through the office like wildfire. Sales are about to nosedive, and everyone can feel it. Now, picture yourself standing up, taking a deep breath, and saying, with absolute conviction, "The fewer staff we have, the greater share of the commission for each of us." Everyone stares. Then, a slow smile. Then, a laugh. And then, somehow, they charge into battle, fired up and ready. Sounds absurd, right? Almost like a bad sitcom plot. Yet, that, in essence, is exactly the impossible corner Henry V had to talk his way out of on the eve of Agincourt. In the next few minutes, I'm going to hand you the 3 rhetorical tricks he used. Powerful psychological tools you can swipe, adapt, and deploy the next time you need to rally volunteers for a cause. Inspire investors to back your dream. Or, let's be honest, just convince your kids to clean their rooms without a 20-minute negotiation. Ready? Let's march. The first and arguably most brilliant thing Henry does is refuse to play the victim. He doesn't lament their small numbers. In fact, he opens his speech by wishing for fewer fighters, not more. Think about that for a second. His exact words are, "The fewer men, the greater share of honor." This isn't just a clever turn of phrase. God. It's a masterclass in cognitive judo. Instead of denying their glaring weakness, being vastly outnumbered, he weaponizes it. He takes the very thing that should be terrifying them and transforms it into their greatest strength, their badge of honor. Psychologists call this a contrast gain. By shrinking the perceived pie. By emphasizing scarcity, every single soldier suddenly gets a much bigger metaphorical slice of glory. It makes their individual contribution feel exponentially more significant and valuable. He doesn't say, "Don't worry, lads, we can totally win this, even though there are 1,000,000 of them." No, that would sound hollow. Instead, he says, "Actually, you're the lucky ones, the chosen ones, precisely because you're here, against these odds." That's a textbook reframe. It's identical to what top negotiators do when they label objections out loud before deftly flipping them into assets. Consider this. When faced with a challenge, our initial instinct is often to downplay the difficulty or try to add resources. Henry does the opposite. He amplifies the difficulty, but then spins it as a privilege. He creates an immediate sense of exclusivity. You're not just a soldier, you're part of an elite, hand-picked crew, a happy few who are about to do something extraordinary. This isn't just about changing words. It's about changing the meaning of the situation. It's about shifting perception from "we're doomed" to "we're special." Try it next time you're pitching an idea, or even just trying to get buy-in for a project. Instead of hiding your perceived weaknesses, acknowledge them and then immediately reframe them as unique strengths. Yes, we're a tiny startup, which means no bureaucracy, lightning-fast decision-making, same-day turnaround, and your phone call will never, ever go to voicemail. Same facts, radically new frame, completely different emotional response. It's about transforming a perceived disadvantage into an undeniable competitive edge. That's the power of reframing. It doesn't deny reality, it reinterprets it, turning obstacles into opportunities for unparalleled glory. Second, Henry doesn't just talk about the present, he drags his men into a mental time machine. He doesn't promise them immediate bonuses, shiny medals, or even a safe return home. What he promises is far more powerful, far more enduring. Dinner table stories. He paints a vivid picture of the future years down the line. He that shall live this day and see old age will yearly on the vigil feast his neighbors and say, "These wounds I had on Crispin's day." This is future pacing in its purest, most potent form, getting people to taste tomorrow's pride today. He's not offering them money, he's offering them legacy. He's not promising survival, he's promising immortality. He's tapping into a fundamental human desire, the need for meaning, for our lives to matter, for our actions to be remembered long after we're gone. The thought of being forgotten is, for many, a kind of death itself. Henry skillfully sidesteps this fear by offering a future where their sacrifice is not just remembered, but celebrated, revered, and retold with pride. Neuroscience actually backs this up. Studies show that vividly imagined future rewards can release almost as much dopamine, that feel-good chemical, as immediate ones. Our brains, in a way, possess their own sophisticated virtual reality headset.
Oh.
When Henry asks his men to picture themselves, old and scarred, recounting their heroism to adoring neighbors and family. He's activating that internal VR. He's essentially weaponizing the brain's own reward system, making the future glory feel almost tangible in the present moment. He's giving them a memory to look forward to. Think about it. Modern advertising copies this move constantly. Insurance commercials rarely show you the monthly premiums. They show you smiling grandparents playing with their grandkids, secure in their future. Car ads aren't just selling steel and horsepower. They're selling the feeling of freedom, adventure, or status. The product being sold isn't just the tangible item. It's the future experience, the memory, the emotional payoff. Henry understood this implicitly. He wasn't selling victory. He was selling the story of victory, a story that would become woven into the very fabric of their lives and their family histories. He was offering them something far more valuable than gold, a permanent place in the annals of honor, a reason to be proud for the rest of their days, and a tale that would echo through generations. Third, and perhaps the most quoted, most enduring part of the speech, is where Henry absolutely obliterates the rigid class structure of 15th century England. This was a society defined by birth, by rank, by who your father was. But Henry cuts through all of it, declaring, "For he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Be he ne'er so vile, this day shall gentle his condition." Let's pause and consider the sheer radicalism of that statement in its historical context. This isn't just a nice sentiment. This is like telling a Silicon Valley intern they'll wake up tomorrow with the same equity, the same respect, and the same voice as the company founders. It was a promise of social elevation, a leveling of the playing field based not on inherited status, but on shared sacrifice. He wasn't just promising survival. He was promising membership in a brand new, exclusive tribe, a fraternity forged in fire and blood that would outlive any individual. Shared identity is, without a doubt, one of the strongest glues in social psychology. It's often stronger than money, stronger than fear, and more motivating than individual ambition. When people feel part of something larger than themselves, when their individual identity merges with a powerful group identity, they are capable of extraordinary things. Henry isn't just asking for loyalty, he's offering kinship. He's creating an unshakable bond, a band of brothers. This phrase, of course, has become iconic, headlining military units, sports documentaries, and even startup pitch decks. Why? Because it speaks to a universal human need, the desire to belong, to be part of a collective that shares a purpose and faces challenges together. When you're part of a band of brothers, you're not fighting just for yourself, or even just for the king. You're fighting for the person next to you, and they're fighting for you. This creates a powerful feedback loop of mutual support, trust, and shared commitment. It's about more than just surviving. It's about protecting your newfound family. Neurobiologically, this shared identity can trigger the release of oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone. This hormone fosters trust, empathy, and social cohesion, making group members feel more connected and willing to cooperate, even under extreme stress. Henry, whether he knew the science or not, was a master at engineering this profound sense of belonging. He understood that if you want true team cohesion, if you want people to push past their limits, stop dangling cash. Start dangling belonging. Give them a tribe, a family, a shared narrative, and they will move mountains for you. If you're finding this breakdown as fascinating as we do, and you're hungry for more real-world rhetoric hacks every single week, then do us a solid. Smash that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. That way, YouTube actually tells you when the next one drops. Thanks, troops. Now, let's march on. Let's be honest. How many corporate vision statements have you read that are just a word salad? They love vague nouns: integrity, innovation, synergy, leveraging core competencies. They're abstract, forgettable, and frankly, a bit soul-crushing. Henry V, on the other hand, gives us concrete verbs and sensory nouns. He talks about men who sheds his blood, who will feast his neighbors, who will strip his sleeve to show his scars. Why does this matter? Because the human brain stores images, not abstractions. You can't see synergy. You can't feel integrity. But you can absolutely picture an old man proudly showing off a battle scar. You can almost taste the feast. You can hear the stories. Henry's language creates vivid mental movies, making his message not just understood, but felt and remembered. His words are not just conveying information. They are evoking experiences, emotions, and sensations. Furthermore, he uses repetition and rhythm like a master composer. He hammers home the core message, repeating the hook like a chorus. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. The rhythmic cadence, the slight alliteration, the powerful imagery, it all works together to create an unforgettable mantra. Repetition, especially when combined with a pleasing rhythm, is memory glue. It sticks. It becomes ingrained. It's why nursery rhymes are so easy to recall and why powerful slogans resonate. Modern mission statements often fail because they try to be everything to everyone, diluting their impact with generic corporate speak. They prioritize sounding professional over being memorable or inspiring. Henry's speech is laser-focused, emotionally resonant, and designed for maximum recall. He understood that a message that can be chanted in the shower is infinitely more powerful than one that requires a corporate training seminar to decipher. Want your message to survive Monday morning amnesia? Swap out leverage core competencies for synergistic growth. For a 3-beat rhythm anyone can chant, a vivid image anyone can picture, and a feeling anyone can connect with. We've talked about the words, but let's talk about the results. Historians, after all the analysis, still peg the English dead at Agincourt at about 100, while the French casualties soared to over 6,000. Shakespeare didn't invent those numbers. He simply distilled the emotional and psychological engine behind them. This wasn't just a lucky break or superior tactics, though those played a part. This was a triumph of the human spirit ignited by words. When people feel part of an exclusive club, when they can already picture the victory parade in their minds, when they feel an unbreakable bond with the person fighting beside them, profound physiological changes occur. the stress hormone cortisol drops, reducing fear and anxiety. Testosterone, often associated with confidence, aggression, and determination, can bump up. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone we mentioned earlier, floods the system, strengthening social ties and willingness to cooperate. This isn't magic. It's the sophisticated interplay of psychology and biology. Moreover, the concept of mirror neurons suggests that when we observe others experiencing strong emotions, our own brains can mirror those feelings, creating a shared emotional state. Henry's passionate delivery, coupled with the shared experience of standing together against overwhelming odds, would have amplified these effects across the ranks. The collective belief, the shared resolve, the feeling of being part of something larger than oneself. It all contributed to a state where individual soldiers performed beyond their normal capabilities. Words masterfully deployed, engineered biology that day, and that biology, in turn, rewrote history. The speech didn't just motivate, it fundamentally altered the psychological and physiological state of an entire army, transforming a terrified rabble into a unified, formidable force. Let's get practical, because these aren't just historical curiosities, they're actionable tools. Suppose you're running a charity walk and sign-ups are sluggish. You could send out another generic email, or you could channel your inner Henry V instead of saying, "We need more walkers. Try this reframe. The fewer walkers we have, the bigger, more impactful each footstep becomes for cancer research." Every single person who shows up is carrying the weight of hope, making an outsized difference. Reframe the narrative, scarcity as exclusivity. Then, future pace the pride. 50 years from now, your grandkids won't just hear about this walk. They'll point to your photo on the wall and say, "That hero walked with my grandma on Earth Day. And because of them, my cousin beat cancer." You're not just walking, you're creating a legacy, a story that will inspire generations. Manufacture immortality, future pacing. Finally, install that shared identity. Whoever walks beside me on that day isn't just a participant, they're family. We are a band of brothers and sisters, united by a common cause, taking on this challenge together. We're not just raising money. We're building a community of hope. Or consider a different scenario. You're leading a small, underdog startup team facing a massive, well-funded competitor. Look, we don't have their deep pockets, but that's our superpower. We're lean, we're agile, and every single one of us is indispensable. The fewer of us there are, the more ownership and impact each of us has on this rocket ship. Reframe. Imagine 5 years from now, when we're celebrating our IPO, you'll tell the story of these early days, how we built this empire from scratch with nothing but grit and brilliance. You'll be the legends, the ones who dared to take on Goliath and won. Future pacing. We're not just colleagues, we're pioneers. We're a family building something revolutionary. Movement. Everyone who's in this room today, shedding sweat and tears with me, is co-architect of our future. We rise and fall together as one. Shared identity. These levers aren't just for battlefields. They're for boardrooms, classrooms, and any situation where you need to inspire collective action and transform fear into fuel. So, what ultimately makes King Henry V's St. Crispin's Day speech so utterly unstoppable, so enduringly powerful? It comes down to those three fundamental psychological levers. 1. It masterfully reframes scarcity into exclusivity. It doesn't deny the daunting odds. It baptizes them, turning a perceived weakness into a badge of honor, making the few feel like the chosen. 2. It brilliantly teleports listeners into a future where today's pain, today's sacrifice, becomes tomorrow's proudest badge, a cherished memory, a story that grants them a form of immortality. He promises stories, not just survival. And 3, perhaps most profoundly, it welds disparate individuals into a single, powerful identity, a band of brothers. An identity that transcends class, fosters deep loyalty, and promises belonging that outlives any single person. He asks for kinship, not just support. Next time you face impossible odds, whether it's a boardroom presentation, a challenging classroom, a difficult conversation with your family, or just a quiet moment of self-doubt in front of your own mirror, remember these lessons. Don't deny the numbers, baptize them. Don't promise stuff, promise stories. And don't just ask for support, ask for kinship. Now, we're curious. What's the speech you've always wanted to break down? The one that stuck with you? Drop it in the comments below. Hit that like button if you learned a new trick today, and may we all be part of that happy few who consistently turn fear into fuel. We'll see you next week. Until then, keep your sleeves rolled up and your words sharpened.